morning everyone and welcome along to live coverage of Inside Line Racing League action here on the Xbox. It's ILR1, it's Xbox, it's the Singapore Grand Prix round 50 of the championship. It is the night race around the streets of Singapore, an absolutely fantastic circuit, first on the calendar back in 2008, and it really has become one of the fans' favourites. It's really tricky for the drivers. It's one of the longest in fact, in terms of time on the entire calendar, and it is going to be a real challenge for these drivers tonight, isn't it, James?
It absolutely will be. It's one of the, well, in terms of in real life on this game as well, it's probably the toughest race these drivers come to all season round. Forget Monaco, forget your other really difficult circuits. This one tests their bottle and really does prove how good a driver you can be. Just 88 miles from the equator, Singapore. It's rather hot, I would have imagined, right there, right now. But what's even going to be more, well, it's going to be even more hot, is those tyres. Those tyres will take a beating around here. Those hypersoft tyres, nobody wants to touch, and you won't see any qualifying laps. Sorry, I meant to say, is the hypersoft tyres, not the ultrasoft tyres. Everyone's going to be taking a beating on those hypersoft tyres. If they do decide to go out on them, I wouldn't expect anyone to do a qualifying lap here today on those hypersofts, because they go off so quickly, I've been told. And it's going to be one for the faint-hearted, I think. This is going to be just a race of conserving your tyres. I don't expect a lot of battling, but I've been proven wrong in the past.
Yep, absolutely. As AVR Reynolds puts the first time on the board, and OMG it's Joe as well. They're on the soft compound tyre, so I think it's the Hypersoft, the Ultrasoft, and the soft compound tyre, the three compounds here this weekend. The step in the tyres coming between the Ultrasoft and the soft, because of course there's no super soft this weekend as you would usually expect there. So one of those tracks where there's a gap in the tyre, and it should be interesting to see how the strategy pans out. I mean, there's been a lot of talk during the week in the paddock. We'll call it a paddock. What we really mean is a group chat, but all about tyres and whether to turn the tyre temperatures on or off. On the PS4 side in ILR, I think the tyre temperatures have been turned off to try and equal out the advantage that the wheel users supposedly have. I mean, there was an outcry on the Xbox side. It wasn't really supported well, so the decision was made to just keep those tyre temperatures on. So it should be interesting to see how they nurse them over the course of one of the longest races of the season. But most drivers out there at the moment not doing anything seriously competitive. OMG it's Joe has gone quicker than a 36.2, 3/10, 4/10 really quicker than EVR Reynolds, and they are the only times on the board. So I presume, James, will expect most laps on the Ultrasoft tyre.
Yeah, ultrasoft tyre, we've seen it so many times as qualifying. Well, in qualifying this season, is everyone will just do that one lap towards the end of their session. I mean, this circuit is, you know, I believe it's just over 3 miles long in length. So it's not, in terms of length, it's not a bad circuit, but in terms of duration, it's one of the longest at Singapore. The race distance in terms of duration is far, far longer than what you would think. Compared to, say, Monza, for example, where we were just at, and that was the quickest race you have all season. So it's a big test for these guys on these tyres, as we know this weekend. But just interesting to point out, someone like Joe, for example, we've criticised him every single week for his tyre usage. I've said in recent weeks that he's massively improved. He's stepped up his game on those tyres, and this will be a real test for him, I think. I think this will be one to watch for the Ferrari, but I expect a good performance nonetheless.
Yep, absolutely. He's been in fine form, probably the man in the best form in the whole of ILR on the Xbox side, and in other leagues as well, across the board. So probably the most informed man on Xbox. I think I seen, was it TRL Martin said that a few days ago in one of his tweets, and it's hard to disagree with that. He has been absolutely on it. As OMG it's Joe, but yeah, he doesn't expect too much coming into this weekend. Not feeling too good. He was one of the few drivers who wanted the tyre temperatures to be turned off, and I'm not surprised that he wanted that, James, are you?
I'm not surprised, but when I was sat in the group chat reading it, we're commentators, we had our views on it. I'll say on my view now, I thought, well, it's a bit ridiculous if the tyre temperatures were to have been turned off. I just think it takes away that driver element of this season. Just even if it was for the one race, I think regardless, you've got to go through the hard nail, the hard graft to get to where you want to be. And I think these guys are the best drivers on their chosen console. So there is absolutely no reason then why they shouldn't be on potentially the hardest difficulty. They are very, very talented drivers. There's no reason why they shouldn't be able to do it. That's my opinion. I'm no good on tyres, but that's my opinion.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you, James. I think the best drivers should be tested to the absolute limit, and I think that's the right way to go. Whether people feel it equals things out or not, my opinion is if you want to be fast and you feel you're being held back, go out there, buy a wheel, go and do it, and invest and get that, give yourself that extra advantage. I know some people maybe not able to do that with financial reasons, but hey, Christmas had just been, there was an opportunity there perhaps to get yourself a wheel. I know that VSR Blizzard, the championship leader over on PS4, who's been really quick, actually has a wheel, and he believes he's quicker on the pad. So it just sometimes it comes down to preference, but I think across the board in general, the wheel is quicker. And TRL Martin out there on track at the moment. He had a fantastic race last week in Monza, didn't he? After what has been I think you'll say it over the piece, a fairly disappointing season. A few flashes of brilliance like Singapore and last week. So Martin will be out there looking to do good once again here in Singapore.
I was thinking he could take maybe even looking at a rostrum this weekend. It could be a tough, a big order, a tall order. That's the words I was looking for. It could be a tall order for Tyrrell Martin this weekend. But I mean, he is on a wheel now, or is he? I can't remember.
Yeah.
He is now back on the wheel. Okay, brilliant. But yeah, he did have a standout performance at Monza. Nothing like what we saw of Mr. VRT Cliffy on the PS4 side, but nonetheless, it was a pretty good drive from Tyrrell Martin, and I'm leading to believe that he could do good things here around Singapore. Those two Red Bulls may be ones to watch once again, as they have been all season. But it's the qualifying that really counts for those two Red Bulls.
Yep, absolutely. And qualifying's been their Achilles heel. They actually said going into Spa and Monza quite openly they were going to struggle quite a bit, particularly Limitless. I remember him being very animated about it, and it kind of showed they weren't really on the pace. But this is a track I believe they both go quite well at. So a real opportunity for Martin and Limitless to get it. Pardon me, in amongst it. We know, of course, don't have any Simon this weekend. We're missing a number of drivers. Snazzy Evening as well. Missing out. I think there might be a few others missing out as well. So it's a shame to hear about that. Of course, VSR Holland, we all know what happened there. He had a TV explosion a few weeks ago, so he's yet to get a replacement TV. So that's why he's not here, alongside his ever reliable teammate VSR Murso, who's currently P6 at the moment. But yeah, just waiting at the moment for any real serious times. And I don't really know what a quick time is around here, but given that Leopard's quite a margin ahead of everyone else, is that a serious time from Leopard, a 33.9? Don't think so.
No, but it is on the Hypersoft tyres. This is a bit strange. I don't think I'm hearing 32s where some guys were in qualifying trim. So that would be a bit of a surprise if it's that slow. I mean, 32 when you consider some people are doing 35s, 36, 37s. I mean, that does show you how much they're sandbagging in this early part of qualifying. But we're now trying to fasten our way through, trying to get through this qualifying session, because these are I'm going to call it out here, these are the boring qualifying sessions. These are the qualifying sessions no one wants, because they're all one lap, so it gets tense at the end, but there's nothing that goes on before that point. Everyone's just seemingly driving around, testing to find where the grip is. And just before we go any further, I'd like to wish Morso a happy birthday on his ILR return once again. I'm not sure how old he turns today, but for whatever reason, he's out here racing today and doing what he does best, which is hopefully putting in a good performance in the house.
Yeah, happy birthday to the Northern Irishman. Maybe we should send over a cake. So we'll wait and see. Congratulations on the birthday, VSR Murso. Hopefully a podium to go along with it here this evening. It will be a tough test for him to do that, but he has shown flashes of strong speed at times, no doubt about that. LCR Leopard, by the way, is replacing Simon this weekend in that McLaren. For anyone wondering, he is jumping in alongside Evo. But who do you think the big favourites are, the big hitters coming into this one, James? For me, I think it's going to be between Evo and Surprise, with maybe a hint of Red Bull Racing getting involved. What do you think?
I'm gonna say Evo. I never make predictions, but if I was gonna say anyone for either the race or qualifying, Evo. I mean, that man after Italy, when we were talking, I talked to him about it during the post-race interview, and I said, look, the tyres are going to be really difficult around Singapore, and how do you think you're going to fare? And he was basically just along the lines of, yeah, I think it'll be fine. I was like, oh, well, at least one person thinks that, because literally nobody else thinks that. Absolutely no one thinks their tyres will be good, other than him, of course, who we know is an absolute master on those tyres. So I think he's got good things ahead of him this weekend.
Yep, probably of the 3 races Evo's done, this is probably the one you'd be most confident on backing him without doubt. And yeah, having won one and finished second already, it's hard to bet against him. So CRG Evo, the ever consistent German driver, who doesn't usually get corner cut penalties. He has actually in recent weeks, actually, in both top tiers in AOR and ILR, been picking up a couple of penalties, which is a bit of out of character for him. But he still is showing that fine pace, as you say, that that capability of nurturing the tyres. He's absolutely fantastic at those kind of things. So let's see how it goes for him. By the way, just a three drivers. Oh, gosh, he's crashed. I was running on board with him there. I was actually outboard with him, and he's just done that at the end of Sector 1, down at the start of Sector 2. And yeah, Ghost Crab in the wall. His session is over. And he's going to start right down, probably at the back of the grid with that, because it's only a 37.3 from him so far. Just seemed to drop it on the curb on the exit there, James, didn't he?
Yeah, it's a weird corner, that. It's pretty weird to lose the rear. I suppose the curb, if you're putting two wheels over it, you're going to risk a slide, or you just don't put enough of the car over the curb. It's quite weird how this game works in terms of physics like that sometimes. But yeah, just straight up, just put the power down way too early and spun the car around. And yeah, another thing that I just thought about was surprised hasn't won a Grand Prix since the British Grand Prix. That's quite some way back when you think about it. He hasn't won a race for that long, which must be his longest spell this season without having taken a race win. But, you know, it can't be doing him too much harm because he's still leading the championship, of course.
Yeah, well, he's done so well in the early part of the season, and given the way the league is strengthened over those few races, I really believe that if there is a next season to come along in ILR, which there probably will be a new season, I think it's going to be a fantastic fight between so many cars, so many drivers fighting near the top of the standings. Should be a cracker. But Jork94, currently P8 at the moment, and he is out there on an outlap in that Renault. So he's coming around the final corner to start one on the soft tyre. Now this seems like he won't be going for ultra softs, and it seems like he will be going to start this race on the soft tyre. It's actually, hold on. Oh, it's showing his best, pardon me. Best was the soft tyre. There we go. He's on the ultra soft tyre, my mistake. So he's the first one to start a flying lap. So let's see what the benchmark is from the man from Wigan.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's just backed out of his lap as soon as we're kind of right on board with him. But he's coming through now, which is key to point out. Probably the best place to make an overtake around here. There's not many, but this is definitely one of them. You see a lot of wheel banging. The 2011 Grand Prix, I think, proved that was between Hamilton and Massa made contact. Controversial moments. Of course, Jork being in a Renault, the last time, well, Renault, I suppose, done pretty good. They've done good things around this circuit, that's fair to say. They've also done some pretty scandalous things in the past around here with Nelson Piquet and Fernando Alonso, but yeah, let's quieten that one down, and Jork will have to go for another lap.
Yep, Jork will have to go for another one. Drelix is just crossing the line to start one on his Ultrasoft. Murso in the first sector. I'm going to try and pick up the man that's furthest round, currently on one. Who is currently on one furthest round the lap? Is Surprise is about to line one up. Limitless on an outlap, Evo on an outlap. So I think it is indeed VSR Murso. So let's keep an eye on the Haas driver, who, as mentioned already, is without his teammate and is on his birthday here this weekend. The Haas driver, the number 25, coming down into what used to be the Singapore Sling. It's a shame they took that away. I mean, the drivers maybe didn't enjoy it, James, but us commentators and fans really did love the challenge of the Singapore Sling, didn't they?
Oh yeah, Kobayashi was probably the man who made that corner so famous by flying into the barriers in practice. I think it was either practice or qualifying one year. 2011 is all I remember. But yeah, I don't know. I loved that part of the circuit. It just really tested the confidence. But now that part of the circuit is down to momentum. You just got to carry so much speed through that left-hander. And also, it is coming through a section now which is just tight and twisty, going underneath the grandstands and flying around to complete his best lap and his, well, one-shot qualifying lap, as it were, as he rounds the final couple of corners.
Yep, as you say, James, qualifying can be a bit dull up until the closing stages in this kind of format, but it really does come alive at this stage. So Murso puts the bar, and it's puts the bar down. It's a 1 minute 34.7. Who can improve on that? Drelix is out there, also on one on the ultra soft tyre, so he's the next man to put a lap on the board. That'll give us a good indication of how Murso compares, because these two guys, not too far away in pace, really. So here comes Drelix round the final corner. Is he going to be slower or faster? He's a tenth slower, and there you go, proving the point. There isn't much between them. It's 1/10 slower for VSR Drelix. TSR Bastic, though, the teammate of Murso this weekend, has gone a fraction quicker than him. So P2 for him, and he, on his first outing, was brilliant last week, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was absolutely stunning. He just nailed the strategy between the wet compound tyres and the dries. Martin is now coming around the final couple of corners. He's throwing that Red Bull around. You can't afford to get on those curbs. He's running all over the curbs on entry and on exit, just getting as close as you can. Surprise goes onto pole position with a 33.9 on ultra soft tyres. A stunning lap from Surprise, but it's not enough for Martin, who only goes P3. Then Joe goes and beats it with a 33.8. What a lap from the Ferrari.
Great effort there from Joe. So who can improve now? Where is Evo, by the way? He's still got a long way to go. But here comes Veloci Limitless now. Final sector for the Red Bull driver. His teammate Tyrrell Martin has gone fourth. Leopard, by the way, third and on another lap on Hypers. Can he go and take pole away? It's Joe on top from Surprise from Leopard. Here comes Veloci Limitless round the final corner. It's P4 from him. There's not much between he and Martin at all there. But where is that McLaren of CRG Evo? Here he comes round the final corner past the Singapore flyer, the big wheel. Is he going to put in a flyer here in Singapore? Yes, he is. He goes quickest of all, a 1:33.692 from CRG Evo. And is that going to be pole, or is he going to be denied by his teammate LCR Leopard? And surely the man on the Hypersoft tyre is going to beat that time. He only needs to find 0.3 of a second.
Watch Hayden. Hayden's going around the final corner. He's on Hypersoft tyres. Will he go on to pole position? No, he goes only P5 quickest, but P5, but not a bad effort. Where's Leopard on track then? He's coming around the final couple of corners.
Yep, let's try and find Leopard. I've lost him. Where is he? There he is. There he comes round the final corner. Is it a McLaren lockout? Is it a Leopard pole? Yes, it is. He starts on the Hypersoft tyre. He's made it work, and he takes the pole position. How much will that pole position mean though? Because the word in the paddock is that the Ultrasoft tyre is the one to start the race on. Can the likes of Leopard and Hayden make it work? But yeah, quite an interesting grid. A little bit of a mix up there with the likes of Hayden, Merso, and Leopard getting involved in it really. And it should make for an exciting race, shouldn't it?
Absolutely, it should. I'd like to think it would anyway. Things to point out though, as those Hypersoft tyres we know, they're not going to go very long, but it's maybe considering then, would a two-stop come into play? We don't often get two-stop races, especially not this season. We've not seen a lot of two-stop races, but you know, in dry conditions that could well be the case. Leopard on pole position and taking his first pole for some time as well in this league. Must be since last season at some point. He must have taken one at some point last season. I couldn't recall when. But actually, it could have been Abu Dhabi. It could have been Abu Dhabi when he last took a pole position for Leopard. But yeah, the grid shaping up. Hayden in P5 as well, so he'll be one to watch as the race progresses. Here's your grid then. So Leopard starts on pole to make it a McLaren front row with Evo alongside him. Joe starts ahead of Veloci Surprise once again, who starts in the third and fourth respectively. Hayden P5, his best qualifying of the season. That's a pretty massive margin between Limitless and pole. 1.1 seconds. He starts from sixth ahead of his team, ahead of Morso, who got in between the two Red Bulls. Martin in eighth. Baztec starts from ninth. Dralex in 10th. Melanie will get free choice of tyres in 11th. Then Reynolds, Jork, Gorsh and the Amazement, who disconnected but is joined back, will start from the back of the grid.
Yep, he will. So good to see that he managed to get himself back in time. We'll have a 15-car race. A couple of guys missing this week. No sign of the Danny M7 returning. Maybe just a quick swan song to see what his pace was like in that last Grand Prix. So yeah, no Danny this week. And of course, as we mentioned earlier, no Holland and no Snazzy Evening or VSR Simon. So or CRG Simon, I should say. So yeah, those guys missing out. So we've got a 15-car field, and it's a dry race here in Singapore under the lights, and it's the second time this season we're under the lights following the Bahrain Grand Prix right at the very start, and that seems like a long time ago now, James, doesn't it? It's been a thrilling season to this point.
It really has. When you consider it's Singapore, you just think, where's that time gone? I'm so baffled by where it's gone, because what a season we've had. Bahrain was pretty incredible, to be fair. It's going to have to live up to the heights, and of course, on the last night race we had, a Ferrari came out on top due to disconnect. Will a similar fate happen here today?
We'll have to wait and see. Evo certainly looking like the strongest on that front row. Of course, Leopard on that alternate strategy. And we've seen the Leopard before help Evo out in other leagues. Will they help him out here again? So, I mean, Evo really does need to get that jump on LCR Leopard early on, and surely he will be the strong favourite for the race. We did say in qualifying we felt he was already the strong favourite, and I think he's strengthened his hopes in that section there. So It will be one to watch, but here come the lights for the start of the formation lap. What has everyone done outside the top 10? That's the other big question. Quite an interesting setup here. Jock is the only man outside the top 10 that's gone for something different. So he's gone for the softs. I'm a little bit surprised by that. I thought maybe a few more would go for that strategy outside the top 10, James. What about you?
Yeah, I was thinking that. Maybe it's a bit strange, I think, that perhaps not a lot of them have decided it, but you tend to get a bit of carnage into the first corner. So it's not completely out of the question, I suppose. So all those guys around him just thinking, well, I may not get that far on these tyres at all anyway, so let's just get rid of them if I indeed do get front wing damage. Jork, though, going for the longer run. That does mean that he's going to be playing with his tyres a lot more. I feel like he's going to be conservative on his tyres. That's a good benchmark, I think, really, because if you can manage your tyres well in this Grand Prix, then actually you then get that call, you get that decision. Do you go on hypers right towards the end? I don't think these softs will go that long. It's definitely going to be the ultra softs for the end. But yeah, interesting.
Yep, Leopard then, starting from pole on those hypersoft tyres. Can he make it work? How long can he make them last? That's the big question. Are they going to drop away like we've seen with other drivers over the course of the season? It's Evo, second ultra soft tyre, the virtual pole sitter, if you want to call it that, with Joe continuing that fine form in qualifying. Really impressive, by the way, isn't it, from Joe again, right up there. We shouldn't be surprised anymore, but the question is, can he do it in the race? He spoke about being worried about the tyres. Let's keep an eye on that. Then it's Veloci Surprise, whose form, as you mentioned, has dipped slightly, given that he's not won a race since the British Grand Prix. Then it's LCR Hayden. He will have a nosebleed up in P5. Well done to him. A big hats off to him. Let's see if he can keep it up there, but albeit on those hypersoft tyres. Veloci Limitless is next P6. I think he'll be slightly disappointed that he's got a car on a different strategy in front of him, stopping him from getting at Surprise, Joe and Evo. Important he gets a good start. It's a short run to turn one. He usually gets bad starts, so that's maybe an opportunity for him not to lose any off the start, because it's been a long time since he made any. Then it's Mursel, then it's Martin, Bastek and Drelix rounding out the top 10. Melanie, Reynolds, Jock, Gosh, who crashed in qualifying in the Amazement, who of course had connection issues, making his way onto the grid at the very back as all the cars line up for the start of the Singapore Grand Prix. This is round number 15 of the championship, the first race on this second trip to Asia, which will take us right to the end of the season. No more European races remain. And here we go, the 5 red lights. Get ready for 31 laps. It's the longest race of the season. How will the durability of the drivers fare? We'll find out as the lights go out here in Singapore. It's Leopard who pulls away from Paul. Evil already pulling alongside. Is he going to let him through? It looks like Evil is up the inside. Leopard forced wide and he's got the advantage. Evil moves ahead of Leopard. Joe trying to follow through as the rest of the field scamper through the first couple of corners. It's still Evil from Leopard. That is crucial. What a very important start that is for Evil. In the background, Martin's gained a place. Limitless still in P6 as they now go down Raffles Boulevard, and Leopard's coming back for more. Is he going to fight right round the outside of Evil? He tries, gets pushed out, and now Joe begins to attack. And is he going to complete that move, James? It's very, very close, but not quite.
Yeah, it's her and scaring between him and Joe. Joe's still down the inside as they head through that left-hander there, and he still just can't get past that McLaren, who's sat there like a brick wall at the moment. Just sat there not doing much, is he? He can't really attack anyone. He's seemingly got a pretty poor start on those hypersoft tyres, did Leopard, something we haven't been accustomed to. Something we've also not been accustomed to is a Red Bull getting a good start. They've both got a really good start, 5th and 7th for the Red Bulls, and let's see how they progress.
Well, Limitless, he must have completed that somewhere through the first sector. It wasn't in the first couple of corners, that's for sure. So he must have done it down Raffles Boulevard at the end of that first sector on the inside of Hayden. So that's a crucial getaway for Veloci Limitless to get ahead of Hayden. That's one potential problem dealt with, but there's a problem right down at the back of the pack, and that's VSR Drelix in the wall. And I think, yep, that's down at the end of the second sector, at the end of that long straight. He gets going, and the front wing is damaged. The two Toro Rossos at the back of the train. But look at Evo, 1.8 seconds ahead. He is gone, and the perfect start. He needed to jump Leopard, and he's left them all trailing in his wake, hasn't he?
Yeah, it's Sebastian Vettel-esque, isn't it? You used to see that from Vettel, just pulling away after one lap, and he's doing the exact same here as CRG Evo. 2 seconds out in front. We've not even completed 2 laps of this Grand Prix. It's a stunning start from that McLaren. He now just has to hold his nerve and just keep going, just keep the pace up, because that McLaren behind him of Leopard is holding an absolute train of cars full of real championship pedigree.
Yeah, absolutely. Race-winning pedigree in there. Joe, surprise. and Limitless as Drelex has retired from the race. The Canadian out early doors then. He must have outbroken himself or been hit from behind as he went running down into the third sector of the lap on that first lap. So he's out, he's on the sidelines, but Evo is sprinting clear out front. Look at this. There is the gap that he has, 2.3 seconds over Leopard behind. There comes Leopard now through the shot, and he, as you mentioned, James, has got a real train of cars, and now Hayden's going backwards. He's in the wall as well, and he's crashed down at what was once the Singapore sling.
That's very unusual to get off there now, because they made it more safe for drivers, and he's gone off flying down the old Singapore sling. But look at these top few cars. It's interesting to see. I just want to see Joe, Surprise and Limitless, and Martin, who's also trying to join the fray. He's a little bit far back, but he's going to have to join the fray soon. Just all doing battle, really. You don't often see it. Let's see how these all fare. The front tyres are going to be taking an absolute beating. If they are on the Hypersofts, imagine the Ultrasofts just in dirty air for so long. That's going to be really hurting the tyre temperatures and the tyre compounds.
Yep, they sure are. Martin should, as you mentioned, slowly gain onto this group the way Leopard's holding them up. And Evo looks at this, nearly 3 seconds ahead already as the DRS has opened up. Leopard really making life difficult for everyone else. Was that a McLaren tactic before the start of the race? Perhaps it was. Remember, Simon once referred to Evo as Simon once referred to Leopard as Evo's dog in another racing league, and I think he might be referring to him again, even though he's sat up with the slippers up watching this Grand Prix perhaps. So Simon will be wondering, oh, I was right, even though he's not here this afternoon. So there you go, it's still as you were, Evo from Leopard, from Joe, Surprise and Limitless, and they're all queuing up, aren't they, behind at the moment, and Martin's slowly gaining. And we mentioned in qualifying how difficult it is to overtake here, but the best chances are at the end of the first and at the end of the second sector, James, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely they are. I mean, we recall to the real-life Grand Prix, of course, traffic played so much of a part, it nearly cost Lewis Hamilton the race win that day. Verstappen had that chance, but didn't go for it. Some would argue he may have gone for it on another day, but yeah, he does. The traffic is crucial around here in any sort of sense. I don't think we'll be lapping cars today, but Leopard is posing a real fight, isn't he? If you want to call him a wingman, you go ahead. I might call him that for the sake of what he's doing in this Grand Prix, but he is really holding that train. It's 4 seconds. We haven't even got to lap 4. Evo might. He's so out in front that he may already be on lap 4. He's just about rounding the final corners to get onto lap 4. It's crazy the lead he's got after 3 laps. Yeah,
Evo sprinting clear. It's working out very, very well for the German driver in the McLaren so far. As you know what, Joe is actually the man struggling here. He's actually a second behind Leopard, and is this the sign of what we were expecting might happen? He's really struggling perhaps with tyre temperatures, and Veloci Surprise is tucked right up behind him. So not only is Evo being assisted by Leopard, he's being assisted by Joe, who we know struggles on tyres, and he's lighting up the rear tyres coming out of that corner now. And as they go down Raffles Boulevard, Veloci Surprise is going to pull alongside and with ease go ahead of Joe, and Joe might even have let him go there, perhaps.
Yeah, I think he's probably let him go there. He didn't put any fight whatsoever. He just kind of just waved him on past, put the white flag out and said, yeah, go past, see what you can do now then. Because now at Surprise, of all people, is going to have to go and try and pass Leopard. So it will be interesting, I think. He's going to have to do some racing. I wouldn't say he's going to have to be... Well, he may not have to do any at all. Let's see how far these Hypersoft tyres... Don't think they'll get past lap 5 or 6, if I'm going to be honest. So it's one to watch, Leopard, in that McLaren. The gap 5 seconds now out in front. It's truly dominant from Evo at the moment.
Yeah, it really is, and look at this, Limitless really lining up Joe. Is he going to go up the inside? Yes, he is. He thinks about it, and thinks better of it, deciding not to send one up the inside of the Ferrari. Perhaps that was an opportunity there to go aggressive and just send one past him, because I felt he had so much traction, so much more grip and confidence, that if he got alongside, I don't think Joe would have fought it, but still he's stuck behind him. And look, already 1.4 seconds, Joe dropping off the back of Surprise. You have to feel for the Red Bulls. They need to get past this Ferrari before Surprise passes Leopard, because look at this, Joe's coming in, is he? Yeah, he's coming in already. So Limitless is through, and meanwhile, look at Surprise already all over the back of that McLaren, and the McLaren is going to go defensive. Surprise down the outside, Leopard covers the inside line, and Surprise nearly gets the undercut on the exit of the corner, going down into turns 2 and 3. Now on the accelerator once again. Can he try and make a race of this, or is it too little, too late? You would probably feel it is already too little, too late. But Surprise is going to make a fist of it. He's going to go side by side with Leopard. He opens up the DRS.
Joe's out.
Retired, by the way. Not sure why. And Surprise completes the move down in the braking zone. Why is Joe out? Has he done it in the pits, maybe?
Not again. Not again. Surely not. That's not going to have happened again. I'll check on board with Gorsh as he's coming down the pit straight now, whether I can see any Ferrari in the ball. He's retired in the pit lane. He's out of the Grand Prix. That could have been a glitch. Oh, goodness me. It's so frustrating for the Ferrari. So frustrating.
Yeah, well, we saw Limitless fuming about that, calling out Codemasters for being unacceptable in the fact that the glitches are still in the game at this stage, and well, it has, as you mentioned, happened to the Ferrari of OMG It's Joe. We presume either that or he's just had enough trying to deal with those tyres and retired. So the great run of form that OMG It's Joe was on, and the form man on Xbox, looks to be coming to a close here. As look at this, Leopard really holding up Limitless now, as is Martin, Merso, Bastic, in fact basically the entire field now queuing up behind him to make a move. And Reynolds has joined that as well, so down to Reynolds queuing up behind Leopard. Look how slow he is, he's got no grip left, and the rear slide, and he has to come into the pits, and he's the cork in the champagne bottle. The cork pops and the water flies out, or the champagne flies out. In this case it's 4 Formula 1 cars, so it can go a lot quicker. 2 Red Bulls, 2 Hassies freed up to start attacking, but is the damage already done, James? Perhaps it is.
Yeah, it is. Those Hypersofts are so finished. It's unbelievable how quick they've gone off. I said it'd be a lap 5 or lap 6 that they'd all stop. Those 2 Red Bulls now have got to make a race of this. They're some 3.4 seconds behind Surprise. Just how much time they lost under. Well, there's a move going on, isn't it? Martin going past Limitless up the inside. They're banging wheels, the 2 Red Bulls here. That's crazy to see.
Yeah, really surprising. And Martin nearly got it done, but Limitless holds on. And, well, for the most part, the Red Bull drivers, they have been very friendly in combat. Limitless last week let Martin through during the race, and earlier on in the season, Martin has been letting Limitless through. So, yeah, interesting to see the Red Bulls go into combat. Not something we see very often, but Martin clearly feels that he's the quicker driver at the moment. I was watching Veloci Limitless' stream back last week. He reluctantly allowed TRL Martin through in that Grand Prix, and by the looks of it, he's got no interest in letting Martin through here either. And he's trying to get up to speed, trying to get away. But Martin looked really racy on the brakes down into the braking zone at the end of the first sector, didn't he?
He did indeed. I mean, these guys have racing history. There's no doubt about that. These two have been racing each other years and years on end. They've been going for championships in the past. They're not in the position to win championships this season, but they're doing enough to get some good racing out of it. And to be honest, I'm not surprised in many ways that those two are racing. Eventually it was going to happen that those two decide that they are going to race. But let's just see if Limitless lets his teammate Martin through. Doesn't look like he will into turn 1. This is going to be interesting down the Rapaz Boulevard.
Yeah, well, they are dropping back off the tail of Surprise now. 4.4 seconds between Surprise and Limitless. Evo is keeping the gap at around 7 seconds after 7 laps, by the way. Incredible. But look at Martin, he's so much quicker. And is he going to go and make the move? Limitless is still in mode 4, by the way, so I think he's got no intentions of letting Martin go. This is personal between the 2 Red Bull drivers, and he's up the inside this time, Martin. Side by side into the braking zone, and Martin, has he muscled his way through, and his teammate. Still the Red Bulls do battle. Martin versus Limitless. Teammates, but also rivals, and Martin muscles his way through. Past Limitless, and he makes it stick. Whoa, there must be some real tension in the Red Bull garage, but Martin's through, Limitless down to 4th, and we've got some real excitement between the Red Bull drivers, James. Wonderful stuff.
It is wonderful stuff, but there's a few things I want to pick up on really quickly. Those two shouldn't really be squabbling as hard as they are, because the 2 Haas cars are sat right up behind them. They're looking for a pretty good race as well. This could be interesting. The 2 Haases versus the 2 Red Bulls. Who will come out on top in that duel? We've seen it a number of times this season between the Haas and the Red Bull, but not in this instance. Limitless now, we're going to have to hold up these 2 Haas cars and allow Martin to start to pull away.
Adrian Newey and Christian Horner, they'll be on the pit wall, disgusted to see the 2 battling, perhaps. I suppose if they battle cleanly, they won't be too bothered. But again, another second and a bit lost to Veloci Surprise. And as you say, the 2 Haas cars right in amongst it with Merso and Bastek. So we know Merso's no slouch, and we saw from Bastek on his first appearance of the season that he is no slouch either last week. So we could be in for this could be the story of the race this afternoon, or this evening I should say, given we're in Singapore. The two Red Bulls versus the two Haas drivers.
Yeah, it's interesting. You don't often see as much squabbling between two sets of teammates. I thought this season going into it would be between Ferrari and Red Bull, just constantly throughout the season as it progressed, and surprising the Williams. So of course the grid's changed and McLaren have started to come into play. Haas have always seemingly been there. Let's see what Morso can do then in towards the braking zone. He thinks about it, thinks better of it in the Haas as well. And these two have done great battles in the past, Morso and Limitless. I'll cast my mind back to France where we had a sensational fight between these two. I believe for the podium place in that race. It was a truly, truly great battle to watch.
Yeah, it really was back in France when Merceau really was probably having his best race of the season. When Merceau first came onto this game, he was struggling. He was quite open about his struggles, wasn't too happy about struggling to find some pace, but from the midpoint of the ILR season, he really has come onto some great form and matched his teammate Holland, and actually on a few occasions beaten his teammate Holland. And Gros Krab has retired from the session, so he's another one out of this Grand Prix. He's crashed somewhere in Sector 2, so I'm not too sure where he's crashed that car. But Ghost joins, OMG it's Joe, Hayden and Drelex on the sidelines. No sign of any kind of safety car in this Grand Prix at the moment. It is a track that always seems to see a safety car in real life. I think it's actually got a
100%. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, the only track with it. So will it happen here today on the game? I don't think so though, because we never seem to see it much on the game, do we? As Limitless, who clearly was struggling for tyres and grip, is coming into the pits. A bit like OMG it's Joe was struggling. He'll be praying he doesn't have any issues in the pit box.
Yeah, I'll be watching this pit stop with real caution actually. I just don't want the same fate to happen to Limitless once again. And he does fit on those soft tyres and away he goes. So he is still racing, which you'll be happy about. There's no glitches to stop him this time. But a man who's come on leaps and bounds just looking at it is Jork in that Renault. He's now in P6. He started pretty much solemn last. He wasn't anywhere in qualifying. I said those softs may be one to watch. He'll go a long way into the race. I expect him when the likes of Baztek and Morso do make their pit stops, which you'd like to think fairly soon, that he will be joining the fray for rostrum position, but maybe not effectively, maybe not realistically either. But let's just see how Jork progresses. He's got a good race ahead of him. Just needs to keep his own to his own and just drive laps of Singapore, which I'm not really too sure how fun it is. This is quite a difficult circuit, so I imagine it's quite sweaty as well.
Yep, of course. They're sweaty in the cockpit or the bedroom or wherever you're racing in the game. But yeah, we've got a migrating host popping up at the bottom of the screen here. Hopefully that doesn't mean I'm about to leave the lobby. I hope it doesn't mean that. But can you still hear me, James? Yeah?
Yeah, I can still hear you. Yeah, I'm seeing the same message, which is really frustrating.
Okay, hopefully that's not going to be any lobby issue. I don't really know too much about those lobby issues, but yep, Merceau and Bastic really battling together over P4 and P5. Will be interesting to see who comes out on top in that battle. Looks like they're going to be locked in a battle with Limitless, because Martin seems to have some good pace, doesn't he? Once again. And is he coming in on this lap? Yeah, Martin's coming in on this lap. So where's he going to be in relation to Limitless? Has Limitless managed to make the undercut work? It'll be interesting to see if he can, but Martin's coming in. Oh, and so has Bastic. So Bastic's followed in too. York's going to jump the pair of these, you would think. So let's see what happens.
They're kind of covering each other off here. Limitless is now rounding the final couple of corners. Morso's taken the lead of this Grand Prix. No, he hasn't. That's a total lie. So the timing boards are going AWOL, which does suggest that we are going to have lobby issues, which is fantastic. Thanks for that. And let's just see how this race progresses. Looks like Limitless has got ahead and stayed ahead of the Haas of Baztek. So that's crucial in this Grand Prix. But for how much longer will this Grand Prix be going on for? Because by all accounts, not very long at all.
Oh, well, this is a commentator's nightmare. There's nothing else I can say other than this is a nightmare for us, because it's got Evo down in 7th. That is not true. Oh, what is going on with the timing screens? How are we supposed to cover this? Look at the state of this. Oh my God. Melanie, amazement. No, that is not right. That is not right. No. Well, sorry folks. It's really going to play with our minds. It's going to play with your minds. But Evo is basically going to lead this race. I don't even know what the order is now, because who's pitted, who's not. I think Evo's still out there in the lead, isn't he? Yeah, he is. So he's coming in now. So Evo from the lead is coming in. Has it finally sorted itself out? I think it has. Evo, Merceau, Jork. That's right, isn't it?
Yeah, it is right. But there's something that's really also playing on my mind, that Leopard on the Hypersofts come in for the softs, and he's actually P3 technically. He's ahead of Martin. which is quite crucial, but it's just about how much longer, how effective, how detrimental are those tyres going to be towards the end of this stint, because he's now got to do, well, by the end of the race, you would think that Leopard would have done something along the lines of, goodness me, about 27 laps on that set of tyres, which is crazy. I think it's almost criminal. I don't think he'll be doing that many laps. Sorry, maybe not as much as that. Maybe more like 24 or so laps. But still, nonetheless, a long, long way on a set of tyres.
Absolutely. Well, can he make it work? So, I mean, we have said that, you know, track position is so vital on this racetrack. So it might work for Leopard, you never know. He is now going to be on the same tyres as everyone around him, not ones that are going to wear rapidly quicker. So certainly one to watch. But where is Evo's car? Evo is the leader, by the way. Ignore all this. This is just nonsense. Jork is second. Every time they go through the first sector, it just changes it. That's what it is. Every time a car goes through the first sector, it just resets it. So that is Reynolds from, oh God, it's Evo, from Jork, from Leopard, from Surprise, then Leopard, Martin. This is going to be so difficult to commentate, isn't it, James?
Yeah, I'm just trying to get some word in the chat about what the hell is going on, because as much as it's frustrating for you guys watching at home, it's also frustrating, as Andy has said, but for me and him. It's not easy to cover a race when you've got very, very little support. I mean, it can't be, you know, we've heard all the stories in the past about how Murray Walker used to commentate, used to sit there with his deck chair, had a man to the right hand side of him, used to tap his shoulder to find out what lap he was on and who was leading as they went across the line. They used to do it on the old markings, but we're not that classic, for goodness sake. It's not 60 years ago. We should be sat here with all the great feed that we probably deserve as well, and you deserve as well. This isn't what really we want to be seeing, but what I can tell you is Martin is really closing in on LCR Leopard in the McLaren.
Yep, so that's the battle to watch at the moment as this timing screen sorts itself out again. It seems like every time they go through the first sector, it just totally starts to talk gibberish to us. So the other problem is I can't even give you the difference in timings between all the cars. So that's the problem. It's going to just give me arrows for the rest of the race. But here comes Martin then. He's going to go round the outside of Leopard. This is for position. He is on fresher tyres as Martin. Oh, and Leopard forced him out. And he goes wide, and that might allow Limitless to come in. Oh, they meet in the middle of the corner, do Martin and Leopard. Martin is through on Leopard. Leopard's going slowly, and now Limitless is through ahead of Leopard. What's going on? Is he stopping? Yes, he's stopping. Why did Leopard let them all go and then start picking up speed again? What was he doing there?
I'm not too sure. It's all peculiar, isn't it? It's really frustrating. But other words that I've heard in the chat from the amazement is that people are getting blue flags and no one is anywhere near a lap down, which is just criminal. It's actually criminal. Like, how does that actually happen? How do you allow that to happen? It's just so frustrating how that kind of thing works. But the amazement is being shown blue flags from what he has seen. It tells you how much time he's got. Yeah. He's
been showing as the leader, so up the ticks. He's not, oh, no, maybe not, down to 11th. Yeah, well, there you go. Back to Wiggins' typical position. So, yeah, I know, we can only try and laugh about it and try and give you the best coverage we can. But yeah, it's just a glitch lobby now, isn't it? Amazement's got blue flags. Right, hold on. I'm going to try and reset all this stuff, try and get rid of all this stuff for a second on the board and try and maybe give you timings again. Hold on, folks. Hopefully this will reset for me. Come on, give me the intervals. No, still doesn't want to give me the intervals. I've tried to reset everything, it won't give me the intervals. Oh well, we're stuck, James. We're stuck with this. So let's just try and find the best battles on track, which at the moment seems to be perhaps the two Hassies fighting with Reynolds at the moment.
Yeah, Leopard's coming to the pits, I suppose probably to retire the car, which would mean that everyone will finish in the points if you finish, but we don't know how many finishes we're going to have. We don't even know what the state of this Grand Prix is going to be. I don't even know what lap we're on, Andy, because it's been on lap 10 for so long for me.
Has it?
I don't. Yeah, I have no idea what lap we're on, so I'm kind of leaving that to you. I haven't got a clue what lap we're on. We're on something lap. Someone's leading. And everything else in between is a total mess. This is quite shocking.
Yep, you're right. I've just went into the pause menu, and lap data has been wiped from lap 9 onwards. Someone turn the data recorders back on. Don't know what's happening. So it's Reynolds against Murso for P8 and 9. We're not on lap 10. We don't have an abacus, so we can't count how many we've had. So we're just going to have to guess I don't know, who cares? Here comes Mercer anyway up the inside of Reynolds. Thinks about it, couldn't quite manage it. So no way through for him.
I'll tell you what,
How
Andy,
the-
without being controversial, we had a quicker stewarding decision in Belgium after a race than this. This is crazy how long this is taking for something to be completed here. Yeah, I'm hearing rumours there could be a restart, and if the rumours are continuing for this long, I'd like to think that, we may not even need one at that rate because the race would have been finished. I don't even know if drivers know what lap they're on. Think about them as well. I've just seen blue flags for Jork, and he's out in third. I'm seeing all sorts of crazy madness here. The only time you really see blue flags, and well, you don't see blue flags in endurance racing at all, but it's kind of similar to what we're getting here. Martin is all over the back of Jork as they head down Rapids Boulevard, and looks like he'll sweep into, a position.
Who knows?
Yeah, he's gone ahead of Jork, and that's all that matters, and the ticks are going down. Maybe not in literal terms, but they might be against Martin, and they have done. And the two Red Bulls still going, well, I want to use the word strongly, but again, Andy, I don't know. I really just don't have a clue.
Well, Leopard, who went really slowly for a wee while, is now ahead of Evo, apparently. Well, I don't know how that works. I think it's Evo leading from Surprise in second. Then it's Martin third, Limitless fourth, Jork fifth, Mercer sixth, Reynolds seventh, Bastic eighth, Melanie ninth, Amazement 10th, and Leopard in the pits. I think that's it. So read from Evo downwards, folks. That is your order. Oh, now read... Yeah, you get the idea. Wherever Evo is, read down. Simple as that. And that is your order. So Evo is the leader from Surprise, then Martin, then Limitless, and then Jork has yet to stop. Mercer, Reynolds, Bastic, Melanie, Amazement.
I've heard from Drelix, who's not in the race, but he's also having the same issue as us, and he's there at the lobby. He's still stuck on lap 10. I don't know. I don't know what to say. It's it's almost frustrating. It's a waste of time now. Yeah, it's a waste of time.
What's going on? Has everyone stopped out the back of the circuit and gone for a lie down? Why are we still on lap 10? I don't get it. Is it either someone's forgot to count, or the cars are genuinely just sitting at one side of the circuit having a cup of tea or coffee, and we've not been invited? I don't know. Either that, or and you know what? You know what the most likely scenario is? We're in Singapore. They've all stopped down at one of the corners where the nightclubs are, got out, went for a few pints in a nightclub, and left the commentator from the commentary box. Cheers for the invite, lads. Cheers. As Bastic attacks Reynolds.
Yeah, well, we know Singapore traditionally has telecom issues. It's one of those circuits that, because of the nature of the hustle and bustle, the street circuit nature, has a lot of telecom issues. I'm making it as realistic as it possibly could be, but we all know that it isn't. So that's definitely not the reason as to why, but I mean, this is just, oh my god, I'm losing the will to live at the moment. It's so frustrating. No decisions getting made. We made a decision that quickly after a race that was wrong, and now we're taking so long to make a decision which is right. It's a farce. It is a bit of a farce at the moment. Let's just hope that something gets sorted.
Well, what I'll say is, well, they spoke about telecom issues. The one thing, the real issue was the underground. It was the MRT, as they call it in Singapore, the metro, that they always seem to get issues because of that down below. Now, surely Codemasters haven't gone to the realism. I know they spoke about improving the clouds and stuff like that, but surely they didn't incorporate the Singapore metro system underground to make realism. But if they have, hats off to them, because I love it. Yeah. It's given us a challenge.
Let's just have a thought for a moment. I'm pretty sure the subway issue's got such a bad point where I'm pretty sure a car actually retired from the race. I think it got that bad. Four people have retired from this Grand Prix, but I don't think it's down to telecom issues somehow. I want to see what the account has to say. As I say, I'm reading the chat religiously. I'm glad there's not a massive battle going on, if I'm honest. I'm really glad that there's no massive old scraps for the race lead, because that would just... who knows what would have happened in that case, because we'd have no idea. But we're getting word in the chat now. Could be a waste of our evening. Could be a total waste. We'll see. But there's one thing we forgot to do, and that's of course mention one of Singapore's great sporting icons, Mr. Paul Kim, who was the first guy, of course, in the 1990, I should say, Darts World Championship to get a 9-darter. I wish we'd be seeing some entertainment like that.
What did you call him?
What I called him, Paul Kim. Is that what I called him?
Yeah, Paul Lim.
Paul Lim.
Yeah, it's Lim, not Kim.
Jeez, sorry, I apologise, folks.
That's getting clipped. I'm kidding on. Oh, brilliant.
I called him Kim.
Brilliant.
Well, there's other Asians out there, and not too distant, not too far away, I should say, who are also called Kim, and they're quite ruthless. They'd have made a decision by now. They might have even pressed the red button.
Yeah, well, hats off to Paul Lim on the 9-darter, not Kim.
Paul Lim.
Not Kim Jong-un. So, but yeah, Bastek's gone ahead of Jork into, well, don't know what position, anyone's guess. But he's got himself up ahead for what I think, if I was to... I think it's P6. I think he's got ahead for P6. So Jork's down to P7, Reynolds P8, Melanie P9, and last Leopard is
Andy, I've got some news for you. Right, news coming in from the ILR account. The race has been called off due to unacceptable game issues that make it impossible to continue. We'll post updates on our future plans soon, and we will do with these results whether the race will be rerun. We've been told to leave. I'm not surprised. I'm just going off on
so
one.
what are we calling it? Are we calling it waterlogged pitch? Floodlight failure! Perfect!
Floodlight failure! You had a rugby park, didn't you?
Yes!
Ah,
perfect!
There you go.
There you go. The match has been called off due to floodlight failure. So there you go. Well, if you're looking for something to tweet, if anyone asks why this race was called off, to save Codemasters from embarrassment, we say floodlight failure. Perfect. Write it down and save it. There we go. So the Singapore Grand Prix, apologies folks, sorry for wasting however many laps of your time, don't know how many we're on now. Sorry for wasting all the drivers' time and your time and our own time commentating on the most.
I'm glad we've entertained you. If anyone's actually still watching, I'm glad we may have given you a bit of entertainment in the stream, because this has been.
For some reason, 51 are still watching. Don't know why.
Goodness me! I mean, you're watching paint dry. It's like watching Test match cricket at the moment. There's nothing going on. We're not.
Ooh.
We need to call the race off, Andy. This is it. This is all that's happening now. Absolutely nothing at all.
Well, so how do we call it off? Just leave?
Well, we need to round the stream off in such a way that we head on to the next race, like we always do.
Okay. Well, we don't know what... Well, first of all, folks, let's round it off then, okay. There is still a race out there, but the guys don't obviously know about it. The race has been called off. So let's round this stream off then. We're trying to have a bit of fun, treat it lightheartedly. The Singapore Grand Prix has been called off due to floodlight failure or lobby issues, but I'm going to go with floodlight failure. And basically, the next race is either going to be the next race on the calendar, which is Russia, I believe, or it's going to be the Singapore Grand Prix rerun again next Friday night at the usual time of 7:30. Whether it will be Singapore or Russia, that's anybody's guess. It's still to be discussed internally. There's nothing we can do about the issues within the game. So that's it from me and James. You won't see me next week for the Grand Prix. Kilmarnock's playing on the Friday night. BT Sport to blame for that one, folks. So it's going to be James alone in the commentary box, or with someone else, we'll find out. So, yeah, well, we don't know what the commentary team will be. It'll be James anyway, and we don't know what track it'll be. So, yeah, that's a good reason to tune in, because you're going to get a surprise, whatever the case. So that's all from me. That's all from James. After the lights went out here in Singapore, we'll see you next week. Goodbye.